say, first of all, what a great pleasure it is to be here, to congratulate Labour friends of India on everything that they do, and to say that for me, the pleasure of being here is all the much greater because of my visits to India very recently. I first was made aware of everything that happens in India by my uncle. He went to India in the 1960s to be a professor of electrical engineering at the Indian Institute of Technology. And for the years that he was there and coming back and forward, I used to get slideshows of India, I used to get books about India, I got mementos of India, and I fell in love with India, everything that I heard about its history, its people, and its great struggles for the future. So I was brought up from a very early age on how India was developing as a country. And so it was a great pleasure, actually, to go back and be able to visit the Indian Institute of Technology, to go a few weeks ago to the University of Delhi in India, to receive from them, and they were very kind and honorary degree, to find out that there are now 300,000 students attached to that University of Delhi, and just how much education in the whole of India is expanding. And I know on a previous visit to India, when I went to Mumbai, my visit was dominated by what was happening on Big Brother and Shilpa Shetty and attitudes in Britain to India. But on these occasions that I've been in India, I've been struck by the warmth and the hospitality of the Indian people, by the strength of relationships that are developing between our two countries, and by the importance of us doing more and more in the years to come to make the strategic partnership we have with India even stronger for the future. And that's why I'm so pleased that so many people who are making a contribution to relationships between Britain and India are here today. Let me thank Stephen Pang for being chairman. He's been a fantastic chairman of Labour Friends of India over the past 5 years. We're all very grateful to him for what he's done. And let me thank also Barry Gardner for his vision, the founding chairman of Labour Friends of India. Let me thank him for what he has done and what he continues to do. Let me thank all those who are sponsoring this event today, and I'll not read out the full list that Stephen read out, but let me thank Virgin Atlantic, Deutsche Bank, Saffron Chase, and ICIC Bank for what they're doing. And let me thank also Seva International, the Hindu Corps of Britain, the Muslim Council of Britain, and the Institute of Genealogy for everything that they're doing. And I want to thank a special number of individuals who support the work of Labour Friends of India, and they do so directly and indirectly. My Lord Paul, my great friend, for everything that he has done. He was on the trip to India I had a few weeks ago, and he has been personally responsible for so much of the strengthening of relationships between our two countries. Lord Paul, thank you for everything. Thank you, Saraf, for what you have done. I'm very grateful to you for the support that you've given to keep Labour Friends of India in the position it is. Everybody is grateful for what you do. And Nat Puri, who has also done so much, I want to extend my thanks also, as Stephen has done. Dr. Sanjeev Binoria for what you have done, and Sisha Vajura for what you have done. Thank you all for being such great supporters of Labour Friends of India. And we're going to be greeted by another great supporter of Labour Friends of India soon, Ken Livingston. Because Ken Livingston recognised the importance of sponsoring and championing diversity long before other people did so. And we owe him a great debt of gratitude. And I'm very pleased that with us today, Jack Straw has already been mentioned, Neil Kinnock, thank you for being here today, Tessa Jow, and of course Sadiq Khan, MPs. And I think there may be others who will be joining us soon, but thank them for coming today. I believe that we are at a critical point in the global economy. When I went to India a few months ago, what I saw happening in India was something quite different from when I'd been there before. Before, we had talked about India being a source of jobs in the service sector, and of course having a dynamic sector in technology that we moved forward. But whereas in India a few weeks ago, what I saw is the power of Indian education starting to transform the world. And so instead of us competing with each other on the basis of who can pay more, we're competing with each other and working with each other on the basis of who has got the skills for the future. It is not a low-pay world economy we're moving towards. It is a high-skilled world economy. And India and Britain, with their strategic partnership, have a huge role to play. And I want Britain and India to work in even closer relationships in the times to come. When I was in India, we signed agreements for greater university-to-university cooperation. And we will be working with Prime Minister Singh to help build another 12 universities in India, working closely with the Indian government to do so. We signed agreements so that we could cooperate on the environment. Both our countries have huge climate change challenges that we have got to meet. And Prime Minister Singh recognised that the Stern report made a difference to the argument about what is happening in each country around the world, and I now look forward to great cooperation on the environment as well. We talked about medical and scientific cooperation and how we can extend it, because some of the great inventiveness and innovation that is coming out of India, matched with our determination to sponsor science in the United Kingdom, means that we can move forward also in scientific and in cooperation on medicine. And we talked about young people getting the chance to travel from India to Britain and Britain to India, so that young people at an early age can have more than I have the slideshows about India, but the chance to visit India, and Indians the chance to visit Britain with youth exchanges for the future. And we also talked about the expansion of trade between our two countries. 20% rise in the amount of trade in 1 year. It just shows how much is going on between our two countries. And of course, Tata was mentioned today, and we are pleased that we have Indian companies buying into British industry. We are pleased that we have great Indian companies taking over and investing in steel and in our new technology. And there are many other ways that this cooperation can be extended in the years to come. And one of the things I talked to Prime Minister Singh about, and to the Indian ministers, was about how we could help develop school education in India as well. Because as you know, there are still 6 million children who are not going to school in India. And that's part of the 77 million children around the world who still need to have the right to schooling. And what we said is that we will provide funds under our development program to help to get to that group of people, that group of young people who are not getting to school at the moment. And the previous time I visited India, I was very pleased to see a number of projects where Britain and India were working together, so that in time and very soon, every young person in India, as in Britain, will have the right to basic schooling. Now, I've had the greatest of privileges in my education, not only to hear about India, but to study India. And when I was growing up, I studied the life of Gandhi, and I've written a bit about it in the last few months. And I've got nothing but praise for the way that Gandhi was able to show that by changing people's minds, and by winning people's minds to new ideas, by winning people's hearts, you can actually change the whole course of history. And what's happening at the moment is, I think, incredibly important for the future of the world, because we have a moment of opportunity now. It's a moment of opportunity that will come and will go unless we make the most of it. And it's a moment of opportunity to rebuild our global institutions in a manner that will make globalization inclusive for all people across the world. And that's why, when I was in America last week, I was saying to America, they must join us now in promoting the reform of the international institutions. I believe that a Security Council without India cannot be a Security Council that is properly I believe a G8 that discusses the world economy without involving the Indian voice cannot be a G8 that is properly discussing all details of what needs to be done in the world economy, and that's why we need India involved in these discussions as well. And I believe that India and Britain working together can make proposals to reform the international institutions in a way that will mean that globalization will deliver benefits to the many and not the few. We need a new early warning system for the world economy so we prevent the types of credit crunch that we've had in the last few months. And that's why we need an international institution that commands the support of the Asian continent as well as Europe and America, that can actually